What you're seeing on screen isn't technically a video, but actually a bunch of images from a huge FNAF 2 movie behind the scenes leak, rendered as frames in a video. So there was this really big Five Nights at Freddy's leak, probably the biggest leak in FNAF history, honestly. I've already done 2 full videos taking a deep dive into this leak, so if you want the full story, check it out there. But basically around a week after the second movie premiered in theaters, a bunch of people started to leak these photos from some behind the scenes photo shoot of the second movie, the Animatronics, and this was also the first and currently the only place we saw a full look at the movie Springtrap costume used in the second film's post-credit scene. The only place we'd seen it elsewhere, aside from the actual movie, was this one behind the scenes photo, and a few glimpses of a few pieces of the costume in the background of some photos taken at the Jim Henson workshop. And then around a day after all these photos leaked, a couple YouTubers posted their vlogs at the Jim Henson creature shop and also behind the scenes during the filming of the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie, where they also showed off parts of the Springtrap costume like the mask, the head, the gloves and all that. So that's why this leak was pretty significant. Although we only had around 80 pictures, which is already quite a bit, but we had no idea to the extent of how many pictures there were. And then a little bit after the digital release of the FNAF 2 movie, eventually pretty much all or most of these pictures got leaked. I think most of them, not all of them. The original sources of the photos were basically posted online, unphotoshopped, unedited. They were no longer being gatekept, and the leak added up to basically around 11 gigabytes with 10,000 photos. And in my videos looking at these leaks, I looked at them and was thinking, it looks like they were taken basically straight after one another. It was all taken in like burst mode or something. There were a bunch of photos taken repeatedly, one after the other. So I thought, why not render a bunch of these images as a video and see what we get, what comes out of it? Will we get something that looks like a video? And yes, the results were fairly decent for being a bunch of images, so that's what this video is. I'm going to be playing basically the full unedited version of all of the images. One image equals one frame in a 24 FPS video. And then after that's played out, I'll basically be playing it around 50% speed. Now, like 80 to 90% of these photos were taken in portrait, but some of them were taken in landscape, so some of the landscape images are just in between a bunch of the portrait images, so there might be like one frame where it for some reason switches to a cut-off photo that was taken in landscape. But there's very few of them, and I also don't know for 100% if all of these photos are ordered correctly. I'm pretty sure they are, or are for the most part, because it all lines up and it all does look like a video for pretty much all of them. So that's the basic background information that you need to know. This technically isn't footage, this is technically just a bunch of photos. Like I said, if you want to learn more about these leaks, make sure you check out my first part on this and then my second part afterwards on this leak. So the rest of the video is mostly going to be all of these photos. I might jump in here and add a little bit of commentary if I need to point something out, but I'm not really sure if I'm going to or not. But here's the quote-unquote leaked test footage, technically. So up next we got Mangle here, and like 50% of the photos are landscape and 50% of the photos were taken in portraits. So I really don't know how to sort through all of them because they're all just mixed throughout. So what I've done is rendered the video twice, one in portrait, one in landscape, and I'm going to be playing both of those twice. First at the original speed, 24 frames a second, and then after that it will be played at 50% speed. So here we are with Withered Bonnie, and in some of these you can see that he's actually got the red eyes like the games, unlike the white eyes slash blue eyes that he had in the movie. Some of them he does have those coloured eyes, some of them he has red eyes. And I also have a little bit of a bonus at the end of the video that involves him. So you know how he has like very little screen time in the actual movie? In this leak there's 520 images that have made up the footage that you're seeing on screen. So at the end of this video I'm going to compare the screen time in this video made up of the leaks compared to the screen time he has in the actual movie. Which one do you think he has more screen time in? So up next we've got John Cena's cut cameo. Nah, it's actually just the curtains used for promotional purposes when they Photoshop the animatronics post-editing. Springtrap microwave. But anyway, now let's compare Withered Bonnie's screen time in this video made up from the leaks. That's 520 images, where 24 images / frames equals 1 second, versus Withered Bonnie's screen time in the actual movie. Lock in your final predictions and let's go. That's right, if you said he had more screen time in the leaks, you're surprisingly right. Yes, he actually has more screen time in this video made up from the leaks. Now, if you changed it to like 60 images a second, it would probably be the other way round. And you've also got to consider that in a lot of these shots, Withered Bonnie isn't fully visible, unlike the images in this leak. So, for this comparison, I made sure that in every shot you can see at least a tiny slither of Withered Bonnie, which added up to just 16 seconds of screen time in the movie. Oh my goodness, that is so disappointing, man. So sad that the Jim Henson Creature Shop, they made this whole costume just for it to be used for only like 16 seconds. That's so sad, man. Well, at least we got this leak where we've got more images of him. I don't even think this is actually the whole lot. I think there's a couple more images of him that are missing. But from the images that we do have, that made up 21 seconds of screen time. And that's also going to end off this video. Bye.